Okay, so round two, it's like 7 something in the morning. Ironically, Brittany's about to run into a pole. Camera lady's about to run into a giant tree. Ironically, on the way here, we're at Stout Grove, which is like the most famous part of this redwood trail thingies. And we got stuck behind a giant caravan, a photography workshop. I don't know if that's ironic, but it's at least comical. So I'm not doing a workshop here right now. My workshop's starting tomorrow, but it's not here in the Redwoods. But today, this morning, even though I'm in like the most beautiful spot for landscape stuff, I think I'm going with birding today, and I'm just doing landscape on my phone. Camera lady's got her 2470, so if I see something that just really needs to be done, then
I'm getting mugged.
yeah, then camera lady's gonna get mugged. But she has her own defense mechanisms, so I'm sure she probably. I don't think I could be found out here. We'll just put it that way. But I do hear things, and I hear some Wilson's warblers. I got a Pacific wren. I'm so excited. I didn't vlog that part, but I got him, and that's kind of a lifer for me. Very, very excited about the Pacific wren. That might be another Pacific wren I hear. And I heard an owl. I don't know if I'll ever see it though, because come on, this is ridiculous. These trees are so tall. And I purposefully left my teleconverter in the car again because I'm at f4 and I'm at 200th of a second, which is, a little too slow for birds, but that's at 12,800 ISO. So that's just what we're gonna have to deal with today. So let's see what we can find. Oh, I also got a Stellar's Jay. I forgot about that. Not the greatest shot in the world. I'd like to get a better one, even though like Stellar's Jays are everywhere, but they're cooler in the redwoods, right? All birds are cooler in the redwoods. All right, that's nice. There. That's nice. There's lots of good landscape stuff here, Brittany. Jeez. That's a Pacific Slope Flycatcher. He just landed right there, and I shot him in his pretty little Pacific face. And then he flew right there in the sun, and I shot him in his pretty little sunlit face. That's insane. That was one of my target birds that I did not think was possible. But it was in fact. I don't know how I got so lucky. Also, I just got another shot of the Pacific wren. I got like another 100 shots of the Pacific wren, and that was like, I couldn't ask for anything better. That was incredible. Just where he was, the perch. I got an entire clip of him vocalizing, which as a birder, I really wanted, and as a YouTuber, that makes for good B-roll because it's pretties. I'm very happy right now. I saw an owl fly away from me. He had a nice tail. I didn't get a shot of it. Let's go jump into the computer though, because I want to see what it's going to take to process these. Like shooting in the redwoods for bird photography is even harder than. What was that? It's even harder than regular bird photography, I think, because it's just so dense. Everything's so high up. Like, basically, if it's more than, like, you know, this degree of an angle, I'm not shooting it. You know, like, I'll get B-roll or something if it's way up there, but for one, you know, I can't hold this thing like up for very long. So, and for two, it's not very flattering. So, you know, trying to shoot things when they do come lower, because some of this stuff doesn't. Some of these birds, they don't come lower. But trying to get the stuff that does come down and below the canopy. And then the other challenging part is, of course, light. So I'm so glad that I dealt with and, you know, put up with bringing the 500 f4 and flying with it and all that stuff, which really wasn't a big deal. But I'm so glad I did, because shooting anything slower I would be sad. That flycatcher is like right here. There's like two of them. They're calling back and forth to each other. The other hardest part about birding out here, or in any like really dense forest, is you can hear all the birds, but you can't see them. Like, he could be chirping right there, and like, if I didn't see him fly in or out, I wouldn't see him, even though he's chirping. Like, so you really got to look for the movement, and just hope, because all of these birds, they just blend in. Even the brightly colored ones, you know, you would think a Wilson's warbler would stand out because it's, you know, bright yellow bird, but it's also like this big, and next to the greens, you know. But I did get one okay shot of a Wilson's warbler. I mean, I've got way better shots from New Mexico, but, you know, it's in the Redwoods. So, like I said, my motto is birds are cooler in the Redwoods, so I'll take it. All right, well, that's it. We got to get out of here before it gets too trafficy. And also, camera lady has informed me that my mic is dying. So we'll see you in a second back in the studio once I get home. I don't want to leave these rays, Brittany, these sun rays. Can we take them with us? All right, so made it home. That was about a week ago or so. Everything went smooth. Been checking out the images. They look good. I started editing some, and basically I want to take you in and show you a bit of the editing process. This isn't going to be a full tutorial, but I've been including some more of the editing in some of my videos lately, and I've been getting a lot of good feedback from you guys. So hopefully you're enjoying it and getting some info out of it. The other reason I want to kind of do it is in the spirit of transparency and just to kind of show some before and afters. I do use things like the remove tool, and I don't typically use like generative fill and stuff like that. But I am using Photoshop in ways that are now being considered as like AI or stuff like that. So I want to kind of show you my process and show you like the befores and the afters and the lengths that I go to in Photoshop to make the final images that you may see. And to be clear, I don't really care what you think about what I'm doing. At least not like, I don't say that to be harsh, but like I do want to be transparent and show you that, I am removing things, I am cleaning up backgrounds and stuff like that, but I'm not going so far as to generate complete, fake images and stuff. Everything that I do is subjective. Everything that we all do creatively is subjective, but I'm here to entertain and I'm here to educate, I'm here to help. So in the spirit of transparency and education, I do want to just jump into the computer and show you guys a little bit of my workflow for making these images. Before we jump into that real quick though, I do have a sponsor for today's video, and I want to give a shout out to them and take a quick minute to talk about audio. Coincidentally, that's the name of the sponsor, is audio.com, but also audio in general. As a lot of you guys know, I am a musician. I do care about music. It's a passion of mine. And it's a passion of most people's, whether they're a musician or not. I mean, audio is one of the most important things. Our ears are much more sensitive than our eyes, and we appreciate good audio much more than we appreciate good visuals, as weird as that may sound. All that to say, being a content creator, it's pretty difficult these days trying to figure out what you're going to do for audio in your musics. I've been using audio for a little while now, so some of the other videos that you've heard music from, I've been getting from audio, and I've been very happy with their selection and with some of the features that help me choose my selection. So we've got all our tracks laid out here. You can just click on something and you can play it, and you can scrub through and kind of get your idea of what I really like too as an audio engineer and as a YouTube editor and stuff, is being able to see the WAV files. It really helps me get a visual for how I'm like what the piece is going to be. But then seeing the things over here like ambient, cinematic, indie, like that all really helps me to like quickly decide if this is going to work for me. But they've got some cool stuff. Like they've got this link match AI where you can like, if you like one of my videos, you can like grab it and see like, hey, what did he use in there, and then put that in there, and it'll try to find like similar things in its database to that. And I think that's pretty cool. And then another really super helpful thing for me as a creator is the elements bit. And this is really cool because basically they'll break it down into stems for all the different instruments or all the different pieces that are within this song or this piece of music. And I really appreciate that because maybe I just really want the guitar, I'm a guitar player. So I really kind of gravitate to that. So I don't maybe want the drums or the wind element. I just want this guitar. So I could just come in here and pick that, and it'll play the guitar sound for me so that I know that's what I want. And then you can kind of like mix and match, and pick whatever you want to put together if you want. I like this guitar and I like this wind, and I think they'll go well together, so I can put that together, but I don't like this other song that has them as a whole. I think that's really cool. So I'm really stoked on the elements, being able to pull pieces out and just add, and then you combine that with like sound effects and stuff like that they have on here. It can really boost the production of whatever you're trying to do. All right, so that's audio.com in a short glance. I've been really happy with it, and I think if you do video at all, something like this can be really beneficial to you. So you can check it out in the link down below. Let's get back into the editing now. All right, so let's take a look at a couple of these. Let's start with this Canada J. It was pretty cool. I actually didn't film this, but I did include it in my other video, the one that I did the landscaping and birding before this one. All right, so here's the raw file, and there's a couple of things that need to be addressed first, and to me, the biggest offender here is my white balance and just the magenta that's in there. Maybe not so much the white balance, but for whatever reason, there's a lot of magenta going on in there. So I like where the greens are at, but I don't like where all of these magentas are. So the easiest way before I do anything else really is come down here to the color mixer and grab these saturations, and I'm just going to bring these magentas and purples down. I'm going to bring the blues down too, because there isn't really anything else in the blue spectrum of this image that I'm really concerned about. So right off the bat, I think that helped a lot. I'm also going to go a little bit fast on this just for time's sake, because I have some others that I want to get to, but I'm going to go ahead and increase some of this stuff. I think already that's looking a lot more natural, or at least looking more the way that I want it. Looking at the histogram, it looks pretty good. I'm going to bring those highlights down just a little bit, because you can tell that little cheek bit there is blown out, but that's okay. All right, and the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to denoise this guy. Even though it was only shot at ISO 1600 and the R5 is pretty good with that, I just find that, man, this does a really good job. I mean, see, like, just look at the artifacting that was there, the color noise, you know, not just luminance noise, the color noise that was there, especially after I did all those boosting shadows and saturations and all of that. So you can just see all the color noise around his eye. You can also see that I didn't get this super sharp, and that's because I was at 200th of a second at 800 millimeters. So, you know, all right, so we did that. Now I'm just going to open this up in Photoshop. The first thing I like to do is just kind of figure out a crop. I think this image will work nicely as a vertical crop, something like that. I'm going to give him a little room to breathe there. You know, this, I don't want his beak like smashed up against the thing, you know. Give him a little room, put his little eye on the third. I don't want to crop in too much actually, because you saw that he wasn't super sharp, although I am going to try to deal with that. But I'm going to just go with this is okay for now. So just in passing, it looks pretty good. I'm going to make a new layer. And I'm going to grab this remove tool. And I'm just going to clean up some things. Alright, so I just cleaned up a little bit of distractions. I could do more, but it's really not necessary. I'm going to make a new layer on this, and then I'm going to go sharpen this in Luminar. Alright, so all I did was I went into Luminar and did the AI sharpening in Luminar. It's just what I have, it's what I use, that's not sponsored. But I think it did a really good job. And then I just made a mask to select just the subject, because I don't want to sharpen the background. But if we punch in here to 100%, we can see this was before and this was after. And I think that's a massive improvement. His eye just looks beautifully sharp, and I'm very happy with that. There's not really much else I want to do except maybe bring up the saturation a little bit now that I've done some more editing. But again, I'm going to make sure those blues didn't creep in. Alright, I think that looks pretty good. Maybe just a tiniest of tiny S-curve here, just to add a little more pop. And that's it. So we got this Pacific Wren. I'm not going to go over that because it's pretty straightforward. I didn't do too much. You can see there's the original, and then crop in and same stuff, you know, noise reduction and sharpening, that kind of stuff. But this was one of the cleanest images, you know, him getting up on that thing with the background nice and blurred out back there was just, oh, it was wonderful. Same thing with this guy. How great was that? But you can, so you can see the crop that I applied there, and then same deal. Just a bit of noise reduction and sharpening and not much else. Actually a lot of bit of noise reduction because that was ISO 8000, but it held up wonderfully. Let's check out this guy. This Pacific Slope Flycatcher was one of my lifers for me. I did not expect to see it, so stoked. But we're going to start with just cleaning up some of this stuff. So you can also see the crop here was pretty substantial, This back here was basically a dark tree, and then this is the light behind it from the light, you know, the sunlight shining through the tree. So it creates this really weird darkness that I would have preferred to have him on this side or even in the center. But because I want to get rid of as much of this darkness as I can, I'm just going to squeeze it in. And I could have tightened it up like this and maybe got rid of a little bit of more. But the problem then is, again, he's looking out to the right here, to camera right, and I don't want to squeeze that. The biggest problem is, though, I don't want to crop too much on this image because it was pushed really hard already. So if we zoom in here, we can see the downside of shooting at f4. The upside is it gives you a lot of light. The downside is that your shallow depth of field is intense. So if, you know, if it hits the breast right here, then his eye's not quite as sharp. So I'm going to go into Luminar Neo and sharpen it the same way. And I think that's looking a lot better. So just look at that eye. It's just sharp enough to be where I want it to be now. And then masking the layer again so that it's only sharpening the subject. And then the last thing I want to do is just soften the background a little bit more. If we come in here, we're like 300%, but hopefully you can see the noise from cropping and from, you know, all the minute adjustments. But if I come in here, I just kind of blended that out in Camera Raw with some noise reduction in the background. So you can really see it right here. Just clean that up a little bit further, and that's super nice. And because this image was so dark and so hard to deal with, I don't want to push it any harder, so I'm going to leave it just like that. So this image was taken just a few seconds after that other one because he flew from that first spot to this spot. And it was great because now he's in the light and he's lit up beautifully, but oh, he's got a horrible background. So you can see how much I've cropped here, and that's definitely helping. So now I'm not going to worry about all this stuff. But I've still got a lot of stuff that I don't want in my shot. So I'm going to go ahead and clean that up. So now that's looking a lot better. A lot cleaner. And obviously this isn't optimal either. This, you know, the foliage and this, the blue coming through. But I'm just going to leave it like that. I think it's good enough. And then if we take a look again in here, there's a little bit of movement, and I think that's movement from me, not necessarily from him. I think that's camera shake probably, because again, I was shooting like 200th of a second, f4. So we're going to go into Luminar Neo, and I'm going to sharpen this guy up. And I'm thinking that makes a huge difference. When you're zoomed into 100%, it looks a little overkill. But when you zoom back out, and when you look at it on a small screen, I think that looks great. And then same thing again with the background. I'm just going to bring this into, you can see right here the noise that has been reintroduced or pushed a little harder. So I'm just going to pull that out. So there we go. All right, so that's generally what I do to my birding images. So hopefully that gives you a good insight onto, like, some of them need a little more help than others. And that's some of the stuff that I personally am willing to do, but maybe that'll help you with some ideas for how you want to edit some of your stuff. So that was pretty much my trip in the Redwoods. I've got one more video coming up, but that's more of a coastal video where I ran up to the Oregon coast, which is, you know, only 30-40 minutes away. That video will be coming out. I do have some birding. If you're here for birding specifically, I will have, that's going to be a landscape and birding episode because I did get some birding done up there on the beach that I was pretty excited about. So hopefully that video will be coming out in a week or so. Huge shout out to audio.com again for sponsoring this video. It made a massive difference. Just in my workflow, it makes a massive difference, but also, you guys know I'm super picky about sponsors, and being able to have sponsors is a huge deal for me being able to continue this. And I really love it when those two things work together, you know, to provide you and me and everybody and audio, the sponsor in this case, with something. So I'm glad I could make that happen. I'm glad they made it happen for me, and I hope that you enjoyed the episode regardless. Let me know what you thought of the shots and the editing down below. If you're still here, I super appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button. That's the best thing you can do for the channel. You check out the channel memberships and the workshops if you want to come learn this kind of stuff with me in the field. Got all kinds of good workshops coming up. New England in the fall, Scotland, well, Scotland's done for June, but I've got Scotland for spring for next year, private workshops all over the Southwest, one-on-one private stuff. I am opening up the winter season for Bosque and central New Mexico and all that for the cranes and snow geese, private workshops. Those are down below. All right, that's it. I'm hungry. It's chai time. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.